Hey y'all, welcome to the Pace Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Ellen.
I'm Lizzie.
And this is the Week in Music, where we're going to talk about all the best new albums, songs, music news, and everything that happened in music this week. And to start off this week, Lizzie's going to introduce a band that I know we both really love, who are putting out their second album of the year. So it's pretty crazy.
So
Big Thief.
Big Thief, yes.
Yes.
So this new record is called Two Hands. It is the follow-up to UFOF, which came out, I think, less than 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was in May, so really not that much time at all.
Yeah, very short time span.
Yeah.
They were actually recorded within a very short time span as well. Separate sessions.
Different sessions,
yes.
Yeah.
But I think UFOF was definitely this kind of otherworldly, very conceptual record. I think they referred to that record as sort of the celestial album, and then
this is the
Two Hands is the body album, or something like that.
And bringing it back down.
So I think the way that they differ is that the second record is a lot looser. It feels a little bit tighter. There isn't so much, ambient stuff happening, and it's just. I don't want to say it's thinner because it's not a thin record, but I think this record feels more just like a live show type of thing.
Yeah.
Like it just feels very open, not sort of self-conscious. They're not, this is not like Sgt. Pepper or anything like that. But I think, I don't know. I think the fact that they use it as, I don't want to call it a concept record, but they reference, every part of the body you could think of. And it's a very sort of physical, raw sounding record, almost in the way that Masterpiece kind of was like the raw record in their discography.
Definitely.
But I don't know. I think for me, their new song "Not" is
so good.
I don't know, maybe a highlight of their career,
and also definitely of this year, just in any genre of any song I've heard this year. It's
special.
It's a special one. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about that until the end of the year.
And actually, I think they debuted a lot of that new stuff for these two records live before any of it came out. And Not was certainly one of those. And that was like just immediately you're like, okay.
It rips. It's so
I
great.
give up. Like this. They've done it. I mean, I actually think, we put Capacity actually on there, on our
decades
best
list.
Albums of the decade list. And I think it's fair to say that these two records that came out this year are, equally in contention for their best records.
Well, they haven't made a bad record either.
Really
so that's kind of an issue when it comes to making lists, but a good thing for fans of this band.
So you're going to tell us about Rustin Kelly and his new release.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Rustin Kelly, who is a country singer that put out a really awesome album last year called Dying Star. And this is not new music that he's putting out this year. It is a covers EP called Dirt Emo. And that's something Dirt Emo, you're already excited, I can tell. And that is something that started out as a joke. A fan said something like, Rustin Kelly, he sings this very just like kind of dark country music. And you can definitely tell like in his vocals, like he has obviously spent a lot of time listening to emo. It has that same kind of strained quality to it. But it started out as a joke, and then he tweeted it out early this year. He was like, look, I got t-shirts, they say Dirt Emo on them. Like he fully embraced this Dirt Emo movement, so much to the point that he is releasing Dirt Emo, the record, today. So that's really exciting. And it has covers of emo songs on there. There's a Dashboard Confessional song. There's a Blink-182 song.
Cuts deep.
There's a cover of Wheatus's Teenage Dirtbag, which is just incredible stuff.
Insane.
When he does it, truly. It sounds really, really awesome. And there's also a cover of Taylor Swift's All Too Well. Not your run-of-the-mill emo song.
Not exactly emo.
Not exactly
canon.
emo. Yeah, not exactly canon, but still a very sad song. If you're familiar with that song, you know that it cuts deep. So we're going to take a listen to that, and check out Dirt Emo.
You almost ran the red, 'cause you were looking over me. Wind in my hair, I was there, I remember it all too well.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about arguably the most exciting thing that's happening in music this week, and that is the dropping of Best of the Decade lists. And we dropped our Best Albums of the Decade list a few days ago. So we want to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, I'll kind of give you guys the rundown of how we did it. And we polled 30 Paste writers and editors. That's across the board, not just music writers, mostly music writers. So we had a few movie and TV people drop in there as well, and fill out a ballot for their favorite albums of the decade. And then we used a point system and added it all up. And we got this beautiful list of 100 albums that we are putting our stamp, our mark on for best of the decade. So Lizzie, how do you think it turned out?
I think it turned out fairly well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a bit daunting when we had, all these spreadsheets going.
A lot of spreadsheets, guys. Yeah.
Spreadsheet
so
overload.
many. And we're just beginning.
Yes.
There's going to be so many more lists.
This
Get
is
ready.
Spreadsheet season for us.
Absolutely.
Really.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think we ended up with a pretty diverse selection of genres, selection of years.
Yeah.
Even just looking at our top 25 here, it seems like it's such a cross section of what we've literally consumed the past 10 years.
Exactly.
It's, not necessarily, I mean, we have a lot of the big releases on here, but we also have, the stuff that probably didn't sell that many copies, which is cool.
No, that is cool. And that's our job too, to put stuff on there that maybe not as many people have heard of. And that's okay.
And I think our top 25 is also sort of characterized by, we love all these artists, but which of their which is their best record?
That's true.
And that definitely shows up in our top 25.
That's one thing we had a lot of conversations about, specifically with artists like Frank Ocean, where there's clearly two contenders for not only like Frank Ocean's best album, but like two album of the decade contenders right there, Channel Orange and Blonde. And ultimately neither came out as number one, but I mean, we had many conversations about which one to put where and all that good stuff. But
I mean, can you think of something like as divisive as those two?
No,
I mean, it's literally
can't.
like a Team Edward, Team Jacob scenario.
Fangirls, yeah.
But
absolutely.
You know what? And we even talked about this with Kendrick Lamar. It's like
Kendrick too.
Do we put 4 of his records on this list?
Right.
Like we talked about Untitled, Unmastered potentially being thrown in the mix.
And it didn't get in there, but we still have 3 Kendrick albums on this list,
3,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of diversity in that regard.
Yes. Even I think even arguments can be made for Beyonce's self-titled.
Yeah, so I didn't even vote for Lemonade. I mean, I think it's an incredible album, but I just thought in my mind, the Beyonce self-titled, that's clearly the number one of her albums that she released this year, and that's not what the rest of our voters thought. So Lemonade ended up being not only on the list, but number 2 out of everything.
Number 2.
And the self-titled also made it in there, as well as an album by another Knowles sister, which is Solange.
Yes.
And that is, to me, definitely a contender for top 10, top 20 best albums of the decade. Seat at the Table. Can't go wrong with that masterpiece.
Yeah. And I think the fact that we snuck in a decent amount of 2018 records, it feels like.
We got a bunch of 2018, not so much 2019, but 2018 is well represented, especially when it comes to the kind of stuff that I know our readers and us in this office were really into, like Snail Mail, Soccer Mommy, Lucy Dacus, like all that stuff made it in here, and I think rightfully so.
Golden Hour,
yeah. Golden Hour, as everyone here knows in this office, is my favorite album probably of all time, so we definitely, that one got in there without me even like standing for it too hard. Like the staff voted, the people spoke, it made it in there. And I know that you really like the Ice Age album that got on here too.
I am a fan. I will say that I think the jury is sort of out on their best record, but to me it was obvious that You're Nothing was their best record. But I don't know, having that most recent release in your mind, you're
That's
kind
true.
of like, I think, hesitant to think of, their previous releases in that same regard.
That stuff's not fresh in your mind.
Yeah. So,
which could be said for a lot of this list. I mean, I think we did get a good range of years, but at the same time, a lot of the votes were constituted by stuff that came out 2016 onward,
That's true, yeah. I wonder, we'll have to do some math and see what came out the last
which
5
year
years.
got the most votes. I would have to guess 2016 based on the list.
So?
I would think
That's
that
true.
one
We
probably
were
got the
talking
most
about that
votes. Obviously an
day.
incredible year for music 2016 was with Beyonce and
Yeah.
Beyonce
And
and
with
Frank.
with our number one pick, there was a little bit of shuffling happening.
There was, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so pretty much after the math was done, Kendrick and Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, were pretty much tied. So we kind of had to come to an editorial conclusion on which album to put first. And ultimately, To Pimp a Butterfly landed at the number one spot, which I feel like was the right choice based on what that album means to people, what it still means to people today. But we still gave some love to Kanye on here.
It's kind of funny because it feels like those two records are sort of opposite sides of like America. You sort of get the the fame and the fortune and all the excess of Kanye with like the sort of raw, dark undertones of American society.
Can't argue with that.
And race relations. And it's kind of funny how even the fact that I mean, the Kanye record came out in 2010, which seems like I don't know. It's hard, I think, to say that a record still has the sort of, the ability to play it over and over again after 10 years is quite a feat. But I think everybody still knows those songs.
Right.
And everybody's still loving the Kendrick record. And
definitely. All the Kendrick records, really.
Yes.
I mean, they all have staying power. And I think every album on this list has staying power, or else it would not be on here.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about, just briefly before we close, any snubs that stick out to you?
Snubs.
There's always going to be snubs.
Well, I think for me, the major snub, and I know this is another conversation we had, was Lord's Melodrama. And I know we're going to get lots of flack for this because we, Pure Heroine got more votes. And we also kind of, as a team, decided that was our favorite Lord album. Not that they couldn't have both been on here, but that was ultimately the decision we came to. But I mean, it feels a little weird not to have that one on here.
It did feel a little weird at first.
Yeah.
I think. But you know what? I mean, even thinking of 100 artists that sum up the decade, you can't really get a full picture. It's kind of I think anybody who contributes to a list like this sort of knows, like, this exercise is, somewhat arbitrary, somewhat, not representative of everybody's experience of the past decade.
Of course not. Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know. I think, like, personally, it hurt a little bit that we didn't sneak in the last My Bloody Valentine record.
I'm disappointed about that.
But you know what? I still think this list stands up.
I really do too. I do too. I think it's got a great mix of genre. We've got the stuff that we're known for covering. We've got indie rock, and I love that country and folk and Americana showed up on here too. But we've also got the major label releases that people are going to be listening to forever. And I think we kind of hit the nail on the head in that regard.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's it for this week in music, but we'll see you back next week.
Check us out. And the list is on the website.
And there's a Spotify playlist. So listen to it. And we hope you enjoy it.